shores, an ancient predator roams the seas. Older than the dinosaurs, older even than the first trees. Sharks have ruled the oceans for over 400 million years. From the frozen seas of the Arctic to the alien waters of the deep, sharks have conquered the most hostile of territories, evolving extraordinary abilities and deploying outrageous tactics, pushing beyond the boundaries of survival to thrive in the extreme. It's winter in Norway's frozen north. 90 kilometers inside the Arctic Circle, shark expert Les Noble and his team head out into the fjords. They're on the hunt for one of the strangest and most elusive sharks in the ocean. The Greenland shark.
No other shark is found this far north year-round. It will grow to about 6.5 meters and weigh over 1,000 kilos, so it's a big shark. It lives in deep, dark, cold waters, but here in the Norwegian fjords, those deep waters are actually very close to shore. And at night, those Greenland sharks come into the shallow waters.
As night falls, the team prepare a box of bait to lure this mysterious giant from the deep. Their aim is to get close enough to collect a tissue sample that might reveal how these sharks survive these extreme conditions.
These sharks have a really good sense of smell, much better than most other sharks. So we reckon they'll be able to smell our bait from about 1 kilometer away.
As the fishy scent is released into the current, the team prepare for the Arctic waters. Sea temperatures here can drop to well below zero. Only the salt in the water prevents it from freezing. The challenge for any creature that lives here is how to avoid freezing to death. And the Greenland shark has come up with a novel solution. Their flesh contains high quantities of natural antifreeze. But their superpowers don't stop there. This shark can navigate the cold, dark waters of the Arctic almost entirely without sight. A tiny parasite latches onto their eyes, rendering most of them blind. Despite this handicap, seals, fish, squid, and polar bears have all been found inside the stomachs of Greenland sharks. How do they do it? At Norway's Nord University, Les and his team are using DNA sequencing technology to try and solve the mystery.
DNA is helping us unlock secrets of sharks, including the Greenland sharks, by allowing us to take a much closer look at the construction of their genomes. With new modern molecular genetics, we're now able to identify genes that might be involved in wound healing, longevity, and adaptations to those extreme environments. The Arctic seas can reach minus temperatures, and to cope with that, they have a very slow lifestyle.
It's thought Greenland sharks use their cryptic coloration and acute sense of smell to silently sneak up on their prey. conserving their energy until the very last moment.
They've got a very low metabolic rate. The heart is 4 times the size of a human heart. It's over a litre, and it beats very slowly, only once every 10 seconds. And so that enables them to survive in those cold, dark conditions.
This slow pace comes with another extreme side effect. Greenland sharks are thought to be the longest living vertebrates on Earth.
They can live for maybe 400 or even 500 years. That means that sharks we see today may have been swimming around since the time the Mayflower set sail.
South of the Arctic, the cold waters of the North Atlantic and Pacific Oceans are dominated by another group of extreme sharks, the lamnids. Most sharks are cold-blooded, but this elite family of just 5 sharks, which include 2 types of makos, porbeagles, salmon sharks, and white sharks, have evolved the ability to keep their bodies warmer than the surrounding water. They do it by capturing the heat generated whilst swimming and redistributing it around their bodies through the bloodstream. It's a superpower that allows them to push into waters off limits to most of their cold-blooded cousins. Their warm bodies give these sharks another extreme edge. It enables them to produce incredible bursts of speed. White sharks can accelerate to 56 kilometers an hour. But that's nothing compared to the bullet of the sea, the mako. With its slender body and hydrodynamic design, the mako is the fastest shark on Earth. A specialist in hunting high-speed prey. Experiments reveal it can reach speeds of 70 kilometers an hour. But such large bursts of energy come at a cost. These sharks need to eat 3% of their body weight every day, over 60 times more than their slow-moving, cold-blooded cousins. The ability of lamnids to keep their bodies warmer than the surrounding water allows these sharks to access some of the richest feeding grounds on the planet. The cool, nutrient-rich waters of the Northern Atlantic and Pacific Oceans produce the biggest plankton blooms on Earth. Here, a close relative of the lamnids has evolved a very different tactic to stay warm and take advantage of this bounty. Basking sharks can grow up to 12 meters in length. Their sheer size allows them to withstand cold water for longer. When it gets too cold, it's thought they spend time in the warmer surface waters. Lingering on the surface also puts them in the best position to target the plankton blooms. Their whale-like jaws capable of scooping up huge quantities of prey. Its gills, used to extract oxygen from the water, have evolved bristle-like structures on the inside that act like a sieve and trap the tiny plankton. It enables the basking shark to filter almost 2 million kilos of water every hour and grow to these colossal dimensions, making it the largest fish in the North Atlantic. In the cool waters off the coast of Ireland, basking sharks gather in their hundreds. Normally solitary, they only come together to breed. The sharks form slow-motion spirals, swimming round and round in a coordinated courtship dance. Nose to tail, side by side. These displays reveal a social side to sharks we rarely get to glimpse. It's one of the great spectacles of the shark world, played out in a location few would expect to find sharks. Far beneath the productive waters of the surface lies the hostile world of the deep. It's a place only the brave and hardy dare to go.
290 meters, 290.
For the past 10 years, Kirsten and Joachim Jakobsen have been searching the abyssal waters of the Azores for signs of life.
The same challenges that we face down here, of course, predators also are facing here. It's pitch dark, so they have to find their prey in another way. And temperatures are very low, and generally the food is pretty scarce down here. So the deep sea animals have to be very well adapted to this environment.
These extreme conditions give rise to some of the strangest sharks on the planet.
The first time we met the sailfin rough shark was on a dive to 500 meters. Near the end of the dive, we saw something moving behind the deep sea coral. It was quite far away, so we were curious to see what this animal was.
Kirsten and Joachim were the first people ever to lay eyes on the sailfin rough shark. Just a meter long, it's thought to be a slow-moving predator, relying on stealth rather than speed to bring down its prey.
Deep sea sharks are actually energy savers. They generally have a very slow metabolism, which is a good adaptation in this environment where food is pretty scarce. Also, they generally have very big livers, sometimes 25% of the whole body weight. So in the liver they can store fat reserves, and also it keeps them neutrally buoyant, which helps to not use more energy than necessary.
Over 20 different sharks have made the deep sea, up to 4,000 meters, their home. And they all share the same set of extreme adaptations. Like this six-gill, they possess an acute sense of smell many times more powerful than our own, allowing them to zero in on any feeding opportunity, be it alive or dead. These deep-sea sharks are some of the oldest and least understood creatures on the planet. But their world is under threat. In recent years, the deep-sea fishing industry has exploded. And the squalene oil in the sharks' livers that help with their buoyancy has made its way into everything, from sunscreen to lipstick.
Deep sea sharks are particularly vulnerable because they usually grow slowly, they live long and mature late, and they also have few pups. So if we destroy their habitat, we may extinct a species forever.
Incredibly, scientists are still discovering new species of sharks in the deep. Inside this box is a tiny shark that's caused a huge stir.
Pocket sharks are among the rarest vertebrate animals known. I'm holding the only known specimen of this species in the world.
Whale expert Mark Grace discovered the pocket shark whilst analyzing thousands of specimens collected from the deep sea in the Gulf of Mexico.
I have a lot of experience with deep water fish, but this was something I hadn't seen before. One of the first things I did was to illustrate some of the features on it. I needed to be able to communicate what I was seeing with other scientists.
Mark spent several years trying to identify his strange find. Collaborating with scientists around the world, he was finally able to classify it as a new species of deep-sea pocket shark. Just 14 centimeters long, it's one of the smallest sharks on Earth.
We don't know why these sharks are so small. Part of it might just be historical constraint. Their ancestors are very small. But it could also be because when you live in the depths, food supplies are intermittent and they're not reliable. And so maybe it's strategically advantageous to be small in those environments.
To find out more about this extreme shark, the team need to look inside it. But with only one specimen in existence, it's too valuable to dissect. A solution comes from an unlikely source. The shark is flown 8,000 kilometers to France to be scrutinized by one of the most powerful machines ever built. The European Synchrotron Radiation Facility was designed to reveal the secrets of the universe. But its high-energy particle beams, traveling close to the speed of light, can also be used to reveal the inner workings of this tiny shark. A 3D high-resolution image is produced.
Our first impressions of the shark, looking at that little bulbous nose, well, it turns out that a lot of that space is taken up by this muscle.
I mean, it's tiny, but look at it. Aren't you glad it's tiny?
For its size, the pocket shark's jaw muscles are amongst the largest in the shark world. It's a clue to what this strange shark is feeding on.
The skull is strong, the jaws are enormous, and the musculature is like nothing we've ever seen on a shark before. And it's for this reason that we think it's probably parasitic, and it's preying on animals which are considerably larger than it.
The team believe this extreme shark makes a living by biting chunks out of much larger deep-sea creatures. But how do you safely get away from a big animal once you've bitten it? For that problem, the pocket shark has a unique solution.
So the structure that we find most intriguing is this little structure here. It's an invagination or a pocket immediately above the pectoral fin.
Lined with special photogenic cells, the team believe this pocket secretes a glow-in-the-dark fluid.
Why? We're not sure, but we speculate that it's possibly producing them as a predatory avoidance mechanism. When it's being chased by some predator, it releases a plume of luminous fluid. The predator is distracted, follows the plume of luminous fluid, and the little pocket shark can swim away into the deep dark.
Far above the deep, cold world of the pocket shark, the warm waters of the tropics play host to some of the largest concentrations of sharks on the planet. including the biggest, the whale shark. Like basking sharks, their filter-feeding cousins in the north, whale sharks target plankton on an industrial scale. An adult can eat up to 20 kilograms of food a day and grow to the size of a city bus. Scientists have long been fascinated by how their bodies support such scale, especially as plankton is much less abundant in the tropics.
They're the world's largest fish. These things get up to 18 meters long. They're massive. How do those bodies function? Why do they get so big?
Off the coast of Ningaloo, Western Australia, Mark Meekan uses new technology to find out. Passing a handheld ultrasound over every centimeter of the shark's body, he records a unique view of what's inside.
The reason we got into ultrasound work was to try and get an insight into what's actually happening internally within a free-swimming wild whale shark. What we first tried to do was find some internal landmarks, and we were able to do that by locating the heart.
By analyzing these images, Mark is able to work out the heart rate needed to pump blood around the whale shark's huge body.
We used to think from animals in aquaria that the heart was only beating at sort of 1 beat per minute, or a little under that. When we look at these animals in the wild, free swimming, we find that they're actually beating at somewhere between 15 to 30 beats a minute. It gives us a much greater insight into how the physiology and the metabolism of these animals is actually working in real-world situations.
But the most remarkable finding, and the biggest clue to how they get so big, came to light when Mark and the team at Georgia Aquarium looked inside the whale shark's head.
When we looked at the top of the head, what we found was that the brain actually sat in this huge cavity that was filled with spinal fluid, and the skin above that was very, very thin. So that was a remarkable finding. What we think is happening is the animals are actually basking at the surface and heating this spinal fluid.
In the tropics, plankton sinks during the day to the cool middle layers of the ocean, an area known as the mesopelagic. By warming their bodies, the whale sharks can withstand these cool temperatures and regularly dive up to 500 meters in search of food. Mark has found everything about the shape of the whale shark is designed to maintain heat.
The key ingredient for the success of whale sharks as a species is basically their size. Their enormous body size holds heat, holds it really, really well. And that essentially allows them to get down into these colder waters out in the open ocean and harvest prey.
Over 140 species of sharks live in the warm waters of the tropics. The rich reefs and tangled mangroves that pepper this region provide sharks with many feeding opportunities. But these waters also play host to some of the most violent storms on Earth. Every year, over 40 cyclones and hurricanes batter tropical coastlines worldwide. Winds of over 240 kilometers per hour whip the sea into turmoil. And the shallow waters of Florida's coastal Everglades often find themselves at ground zero.
Shallow coastal areas are a really dangerous place to be if you're a shark in a hurricane. When you get all that wind coming through, you can have these really big waves, and that turbulence goes pretty deep underwater. Yeah, there's nowhere to go away. That water's just getting tumbled and turned, just like being in a washing machine. But then there are other challenges too. Even though there might be plenty of oxygen as that hurricane rolls through, all the dead material from the bottom that gets stirred up, that can cause decomposition that'll suck the oxygen out of the water. And for fish, including sharks, yeah, that could be deadly.
Over the past 10 years, Mike Hidehouse and his team have been catching the sharks that live here and fitting them with state-of-the-art acoustic tags.
The way these tags work is giving off an acoustic signal that we call a ping. So when a shark passes within 500 meters of a listening station, this ping goes to the receiver and it gives us the unique ID of the tag that's within a specific shark. That way we can track the movements of any given shark we've tagged throughout the entire Everglades system for 5 years.
3, 2, 1. There we go.
Female.
The team have fitted over 100 sharks with these tags. The data shows young bull sharks like this spend virtually all their time in shallow water. But in the lead up to a hurricane, their behavior completely changes.
It's really incredible what we see. Right before hurricanes hit, the sharks just start heading for deeper water. We don't know how they do it, but sharks just have an incredible array of senses, so they're able to detect small changes in the environment around them. And one thing they can detect is changes in pressure. And it looks like the trigger for a lot of sharks is the decrease in atmospheric pressure that comes as a hurricane's approaching. That's something that they can detect even in the water.
This ability to dodge storms is key to the success of sharks that live in shallow tropical waters. But while most flee the devastation, studies have found one shark seems to seek it out. The tiger shark.
In the wake of a hurricane, there's a lot of death and destruction, which for a tiger shark is the buffet table.
The bodies of seabirds, fish, and marine turtles all litter the shallows following hurricanes. Armed with one of the most sensitive noses in the ocean, tiger sharks are able to home in on these easy meals with incredible precision.
Sharks are just incredible predators, and over hundreds of millions of years, they've become really perfectly adapted to taking advantage of whatever opportunities there are in their environment. So even something that's extreme and dangerous like a hurricane, for some species, may actually be an opportunity. And of all the species out there that's likely to take advantage of an opportunity like that, tiger sharks would be pretty close to the top of the list.
From the eye of a hurricane to the extreme heat of underwater volcanoes, sharks are able to survive and thrive in the most extreme environments in the ocean. They adapt their behavior to take advantage of any twist of fate. And their mastery of our planet doesn't just limit itself to the oceans. Some sharks are even heading upriver. The Matentu River, South Africa. 4 kilometers from the ocean, these forested narrows seem an unlikely place to find marine creatures. But shark expert Ryan Daly knows differently.
Some ocean fish, like the giant trevally, actually use rivers like this as nursery habitats. When they're juvenile, they find shelter in these upper reaches of the river to grow before they reach maturity and go back out the river.
Forming vast social shoals, the young trevally hunt as one. The fresh water here acts as a barrier to almost all sharks. But something has followed them upstream. Bull sharks.
Bull sharks are unique because they're the only shark in Africa that are able to go up rivers and survive in fresh water. Other sharks can't osmoregulate, meaning they can't keep the right salt balance that they need to survive. So if another shark came up to fresh water, they would die.
Special adaptations in the bull shark's kidneys allow them to recycle the salt within their bodies. And unique glands located near their tails also aid in salt retention. Using this trick, bull sharks have penetrated river systems right around the world, extending the shark's dominance of our planet far inland. It's not just rivers that sharks have conquered. One of the most hostile environments on Earth is Australia's intertidal zone. Creatures here need to survive extremes of temperature and salinity, as well as violent daily tidal surges and droughts. As the tides ebb and flow. Despite these challenges, even here, a shark thrives. Just a meter long, the epaulet is one of the smallest sharks on the Great Barrier Reef. At high tide, it hides among the coral heads to avoid becoming a meal for the reef's larger sharks. But twice a day, its world is transformed. As the tide falls, water rushes off the reef, leaving a network of little pools. They're too shallow for the larger sharks, but perfect for the agile epaulet. Now fearless, it emerges to hunt the creatures that are left behind. It sucks its prey, sand and all, into its mouth like a vacuum, and then expels the unwanted grains out through its gill slits. With this pool hunted clean, the epaulet faces a conundrum. It will be another 2 hours before the tide returns, and it can swim to the next pool. So how does it continue to feed? To solve the problem, the epaulet performs one of the most extreme feats in the shark world. Using its paddle-like fins to push off the reef, it leaves the water behind. The epaulet can't breathe air, but by slowing its heart rate and conserving blood flow to the brain, it can hold its breath for up to an hour. It's enough time to move between pools before the tide and danger returns. In this way, the little epaulet carves out a successful niche in this rich but hostile world. For all small sharks, the threat of being eaten has led to some of the most extreme behavior in the ocean. Off the coast of Southern California, 40 meters beneath the surface, divers search for a timid little shark called the swell shark. It gets its name from its habit of gulping down water and blowing up like an inner tube when threatened by a bigger predator. But its first line of defense is to hide in rocky crevices. However, if you spend most of your time hiding from predators, how do you safely find a mate? This shark has found a clever solution.
So the swell shark lives in a world of mainly blue light. The sun gives off all the colors of the rainbow, but as soon as the sunlight hits the water acts as almost like a blue filter. And once you drop below 10, 20 meters, all of the other colors of light get filtered out, and you move down the deeper and deeper you get into a single color world of just blue.
The swell shark spends most of its time in this blue world. And its eyes are very different from our own.
So humans, we come from old world primates, and we have red, green, and blue pigments in our eyes that allow us to see color vision. But this shark only has one pigment, and it sees right at the blue-green interface. So it sees the world through a much more narrow color range than us humans.
Determined to see what the underwater world looks like through the eyes of a swell shark, David designed a camera to mimic its eyes.
So when we get down and we find the sharks, we find a family of them living in the crevices, they're brown and mottled, and they blend right in, so they're almost invisible. But then when we turn on the shark eye camera, they pop.
When seen through the shark eye camera, the dull brown swell shark transforms into a spectacular glowing showman.
It absorbs that blue light and transforms it into green, like a Las Vegas neon sign.
A sign meant only for other swell sharks.
And there's specific little dots on them that are almost like little stars that are specific markings for each shark. I think this is so interesting to me because this is a shark that, until this point, science had not given it much attention. It's almost like there'd been this disco party going on for hundreds of millions of years that these sharks have been privy to, and us humans are we're just now seeing it.
Analyzing the shark's skin, David tried to find out how the shark was able to glow.
We've known about biofluorescence in the marine environment for several decades. A really famous example is corals, and almost all hard corals have this biofluorescent ability, but moving towards fish and sharks is new.
Working with colleagues around the world, David discovered a single molecule in the shark's skin is responsible for the swell shark's glowing ability. And that remarkably, it's likely only fellow swell sharks can see it.
What we do know is that among these sharks, the shy, reclusive sharks, that they have a specific kind of vision that would be able to pick up this biofluorescence, but that's likely not the case for the more predatory sharks. So they almost have a secret portal where they could see each other and others can't see them.
Using this extreme trick, swell sharks can safely broadcast their position to potential mates without giving away their whereabouts to potential predators. One extreme shark has overcome the problem of finding a mate by dispensing with the need of a partner entirely. Jennifer Whiffles has been studying shark reproduction for almost 20 years.
Shark reproduction is actually a side of sharks we know very little about. They have evolved a lot of different ways to reproduce. Some sharks lay hundreds of eggs during their reproductive season, and other sharks give birth to live young. And learning more about reproduction is actually very critical to helping conserve them.
Working with populations of bamboo sharks at aquariums across the US, Jen has overseen the largest ever effort to artificially inseminate sharks. But her work has taken a surprising turn, revealing a side to sharks that had remained hidden for millennia.
After the female is inseminated, she goes into her own aquarium and we monitor all the eggs that she lays.
6 weeks after they're born, Jen then takes DNA samples of the baby sharks to check their parentage.
We expected that each of the hatchlings would have DNA from both the father and the mother.
But what Jen found instead was that several sharks only had DNA from their mothers.
And at first, I thought, this has got to be a mistake. Samples labeled wrong, data generation error. So we double-checked the results, and in fact, it was true. And it wasn't true for only one hatchling, it was true for multiple hatchlings.
Somehow, some of the females had produced clones of themselves, an incredibly rare form of reproduction known as parthenogenesis.
This raised a whole new set of questions about our fundamental understanding of reproductive biology in sharks. How common is parthenogenesis among other shark species? Can females selectively use it? How quickly can females switch between regular reproductive mode and a clone-producing reproductive mode? These are the important research questions we're trying to answer moving forward.
Around the world, scientists are unlocking the secret lives of sharks. And as we delve deeper, the stranger and more extreme the behavior we witness. Inside the womb of a sand tiger, scientists have found pups hunt down and cannibalize their siblings. It ensures only the biggest and most aggressive survive. But not all sharks start life in the womb. For the egg hatchers, the challenges are even greater. On average, only 1 in 5 eggs will survive to term. In the southern hemisphere, on Australia's south coast, lives a shark that's come up with a clever way to beat these odds. The Port Jackson grows up to a stocky 1.5 meters and is easily recognized by the distinctive banding across its back. It belongs to an ancient line of sharks who share one extreme trait. They all lay spiral eggs. A unique shape, honed over millennia to protect the growing embryo inside. The female must carry her eggs to a sheltered spot where they can be kept safe for the next 12 months until they hatch. A rocky ledge or crevice helps her hide the egg from view. And as the current flows over it, it turns like a screw until it finds a tight hold in the rocks. But even this clever design can't protect it from the worst of the southern oceans. Powerful storms can dislodge the eggs and leave them vulnerable. This is no concerned mom. It's a predator on the prowl. This horned shark looks just like its cousin, the Port Jackson. But these relatives are not on friendly terms. With crushing teeth, it breaks open the egg's tough outer shell and sucks down the rich yolk inside. It's the end of the road for this embryonic shark. As scientists delve deeper into the shark's world, the full scale of their ingenuity and resilience is only just beginning to be uncovered. In the history of our planet, no group of apex predators have survived so long, been as widespread, or ultimately as successful. From antifreeze in their flesh to glow-in-the-dark communication, sharks have found ways to colonize the most extreme environments on the planet. Today, there remains only 2 places in our seas where they have not been found. The abyssal depths below 4,000 meters and the Antarctic Ocean. Here, in these, the most extreme corners of our planet, the adaptable shark is finally beaten. Limited by food, impassable currents, and the challenges of living at extreme depth. But our seas are changing. As temperatures rise and currents shift, could sharks break into these last frontiers? Adaptable, opportunistic, and resilient.